You know, I could have released this review on Monday, but two reasons I didn't. One, would have been too late of a review, and two, that'd be disrespectful to Garfield. Even though I really don't care right now.
Little did I know, it was all about to collapse. Odie, I'm dreaming again. Slap me across the face. I think this is a case of mistaken identity. You must be looking for another gorgeous, lovable kitty cat. Big bag hunter with the she got a big bad drop it. Come on, Junior. You. Huh? This is Vic, my father.
It's the Garfield movie, featuring the world-famous Monday-hating, lasagna-loving cat. Aren't you just so excited? After an unexpected reunion with his long-lost father, Vic, Garfield and his canine friend Odie are forced from their perfectly pampered life into joining Vic in a hilarious high-stakes heist. Yuck, yuck, yuck. Oh, I see. So when the description of a movie, probably made by the studio, says that it's hilarious, that must mean the movie's gonna be great. Fucking gutbuster, am I right? Okay, so when it comes to me and Garfield, I'm not a Garfield purist whatsoever, but I've always loved the character ever since I was a little kid. I read the comic strip, watched a bunch of the cartoons, whether it was the old Garfield and Friends cartoon or the crappy CGI Garfield show, and yes, the two Bill Murray movies, and they were awful. But despite some misunderstandings with Bill Murray and him getting names mixed up, he did play the character very well. Then it was great when I grew up and watched both the Zombieland movies.
So do you have any regrets?
Garfield, maybe?
But now years later, Hollywood can't come up with a single new idea, and they decide to bring back the fat, lazy-ass cat back to the big screen, and of course, have him be voiced by everyone's favorite voice actor working right now, Chris Pratt. Okay, just to let you know, I'm not hating on Chris Pratt one bit, but we'll get to him in a minute. Okay, so the main reason I'm reviewing this movie is not actually because it's one of the big new releases of the weekend. Okay, that's one of the reasons. But the other reason is because I put up a poll, actually two polls, asking you guys if you would rather see a review from me of Furiosa or Garfield, because this weekend I'm going to be a little busy. And unanimously, Garfield won. And let me just say, I'm so glad this did win, because I had so much more to say about this movie than I did the whole 2.5-hour runtime of Furiosa. Nothing against that movie, it's just, I gotta warn you about Garfield. But first, I'll start off with a positive. For about the first 10 minutes, it kinda had me. It felt like a normal Garfield cartoon. It shows us the origin of how Garfield met his owner, John Arbuckle. It does all the stuff from the comics that you know and love. And again, it felt like Garfield and I was enjoying myself. But here's the biggest problem, and it shows up rather quickly. Garfield is only a 2, maybe 3 joke character. He loves lasagna, hates Mondays, and he's lazy. That's it. So because of that, there isn't much you can do with just those 3 things in an hour and 40-minute movie. So, what do? They made, hands down, the most generic kids movie, I swear, that I've ever seen in my life. And it was, to quote the angry video game nerd, ass! For 10 minutes. 10 minutes, it had me. But once the main plot kicks in, where it just becomes a generic heist movie, it lost me completely. The plot revolves around Garfield's dad, Vic, having to steal some milk for a deranged cat named Jinx, while also having to help a bull voiced by Ving Rhames. Get it? Bull Rams. Ha 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 ha! It's funny because the description said it was. But listen to this. He has to help the bull reconnect with the love of his life, who's a cow. So not only is this movie generic, but it's also stupid. Oh, and then there's someone named Garfield in this movie. Odie felt like more of a presence than Garfield did in his own freaking movie. And besides what I just mentioned, the movie also starts off with, "It was a dark and stormy night." I'm dead serious. And speaking of which, let's talk about Garfield, because this ain't my Garfield. Garfield has always been known as the world's laziest cat. He's also sarcastic, and he can be an ass sometimes. This Garfield, however, is barely sarcastic, energetic as hell, and always bouncing off the walls and dancing around with a giant smile on his face, and Chris Pratt's voice acting did not help one bit. Yeah, let's get this out of the way. I like Chris Pratt, and he's actually an actor that I really like, and I think he gets so much hate for no apparent reason. And look, I got behind him voicing Mario just fine enough, but here, I honestly found him kind of annoying as Garfield, and sometimes his voice did not match the character. The rest of the voice acting's fine though. Samuel L. Jackson was good as Vic, Ving Rhames was good as the bull, and Snoop Dogg plays a cat. Not even kidding, that's supposed to be a joke. Get it? Because Snoop Dogg plays a cat? It's funny because he's Snoop Dogg, so he's playing a cat. the characters in the movie for like 2 minutes. Easiest paycheck ever. But the biggest problem for me, aside from the fact that it's generic, is that it's also so freaking boring. And it really didn't help that I noticed it kicking in very early on, because I didn't care one bit about the story, the characters, even the animation wasn't that appealing that it kept my attention. Okay, I actually said I didn't care about any of the characters. That's not true. I did like Odie. Odie was cool, and that's mostly because he had some of the same reactions I did watching this movie. Well, actually, I may have liked Odie, but that's also another problem I have, because Odie is known to be the world's stupidest dog, but he's like the smartest character in this freaking thing. As for the humor, it all sucks, but if Garfield was Garfield, I could have seen some jokes landing. There's a scene where someone makes Garfield sing a song of some sort, and he's all energetic and stuff. Now, if that was sarcastic, pissy Garfield, that could have been a little funny. But since it's this Garfield, the joke lands flat on its face. There's another joke where they're putting a plan together, and Garfield's little token on the plan is roadkill. Now, I did chuckle at that, but then they drag it out for too long because Garfield didn't want to be roadkill. They're just like, I don't want to be roadkill, but you're roadkill. I don't want to be roadkill, but you're roadkill. I don't want to be roadkill, but you're roadkill. You get it. It could have been funny, but they just dragged it out too long. Speaking of dragging, this movie drags so freaking slow. The plot is so basic that it honestly could have been like a 45-minute special, but not an hour and 41-minute movie. Oh shit, that's right, I saw this in 3D. 3D was okay. It's there. There were a few things that popped out that were kind of cool. There was one scene where Garfield flies through a window and the glass came out at you. That kind of made me jump. That's about it. Honestly, this movie was so bad that's making me rethink Ruby Gillman Teenage Kraken a little bit. Wait. Okay, maybe it's not that bad because I didn't want every character in Garfield to die within 5 minutes. So if you couldn't tell, I really didn't like Garfield, and it honestly might be worse than the 2 live-action films because at least in those, Bill Murray brought some life to the character. Kids will probably like this fine, but kids like anything bright and colorful. But if you're over the age of 12 or don't have kids, you're not missing out one bit. My recommendation is to skip this one entirely and honestly just take the family to see Furiosa instead. I don't care if it's rated R. Or you can just stay at home and watch The Emperor's New Groove on Disney+. No, seriously, some of the people who worked on Garfield worked on that movie. What happened in all that time? I'm gonna give the Garfield movie a D+.
They're taking a picture with Garfield so you can remember you saw Garfield.
That was me at the movie. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. Subscribe to my channel, like this video, turn on the notification bell, and I'll be back later with more reviews. See you then.